Hey, Dan, Brad, why don't you go ahead and share your screen out? What's going on?
Okay,
Hey, good afternoon, Scott. Hey, Dan.
let me know if you can see it.
Boom, I see it.
Okay. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A webinar. I'm Daniel Merkin, your friendly neighborhood CEO. My good buddy CEO Brad Williams is here, and along with a lot of other helping hands, Scott, Barry, and of course, all of you who are attending. We're going to have a great show for you today. I'm grateful for your participation, of course. And before we get started, let's handle the disclaimer. The Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that you are going to be seeing today, hearing today, is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult a registered investment advisor for any registered investment advice you may need.
You're pretty good at that.
Is that good? I'm going to minimize.
Yeah, really good. Really, really good.
And to minimize the PowerPoint, kind of jump into a couple of things here. So, by the way, Scott, very important for you to hear what I'm about to tell everyone. Now, I know many of you are premium subscribers, but we are putting an important feature into the standard version for you guys. And you're going to see why premium is so important, but I'm going to be doing a lot of flipping around. So work with me here. Brokerage Plus, the ability to trade and trade Holly, the AI, automatically, of course, is only available in the premium version of Trade Ideas that we've discussed for many, many sessions in the Q&A. However, today, I just upgraded a launch of the newest beta, and this one allows standard subscribers who have an account at Interactive Brokerage to also trade for real on Brokerage Plus, just without the automation of Holly. So in other words, you can pop on over to, let's say, Alpha Predator, look up a stock like this, and if you think that this thing is going to keep going, you can right click and trade it. And this time trading it for real. And from that point of view, Brad, I want to kind of jump into the larger scope of what we're bringing to everybody here, which is the ability to fully engage with the system in a trading environment, okay? And not just in a idea generation viewing environment where you will be able to, first of all, trade from any subscription, paper trade from any subscription. That's another big thing that we're going to be launching, so that
that's in the lab right now, but that's certainly the direction that we are going to be offering everybody, the ability to paper trade, which is just hypothetically trade. You can use paper money and keep track of the P&L.
So there's questions about, can you trade with Thinkorswim? And so let me address this really quickly to you guys. Right now, the only brokerage that's available is Interactive Brokerage, and that's just because they've been the easiest partner for us to work with since we've pioneered this project 3 years ago. Any brokerage will be available, but you guys have to ask them to ask us. I mean, it's just as, in terms of trading, right? Interactive Brokerage is probably the least expensive main per share commission based trading operation. I'm not talking about the Robinhoods of the world. That's not really real investing. And if you try to trade like we do here, that would quickly be turned off. But if you're talking about like per share pricing, Thinkorswim and Interactive Brokerage, the executions are commodity, they're similar, but Interactive Brokerage is very, very inexpensive. So that is why we chose them as the mainstay of our automated trading and trading in general. But what we're trying to say here is that you're not going to be limited to just the pure automation. It's like one of the things we've discussed the race car analogy, Brad, many times, where we say we do our R&D, we do it with the AI, we do the most advanced stuff there, of course. But we bring it back to the people that, maybe don't want to or can't trade in full auto mode, but still want to participate on their own. Like, I'll give you an example. This one right here. Okay, HIIQ. Holly's tried this one many times. Expand it out. And a couple of these were just, and this is something else that we've talked about. So look at this buy here, this buy, and this buy here. This is a monthly chart, by the way. So you can change it to time frame of weekly. And zoom back out. So you can kind of see like that the initial signal here was around 29 and it went about 100% higher from this initial signal. One of the big things that we're trying to do, guys, okay, and these two confirmation signals were just the icing on the cake. One of the big things that we're trying to do is get it easier for you all to stay in the trade longer. Now listen, this is a very critical part here. How do you do that? We're working on helping you figure that out. One of the ways is combined moving averages, like potentially this EMA as a swing exit. And Brad, you know, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff, but I'm imagining creating a path for people that if they're in and they're profitable, they're not exiting, let's say, until there's some sort of penetration that happens that we'll study and give to you. But then staying in, that's the key thing. Staying in and how to stay in will be formulaically analyzed so you can maintain and be in these kinds of moves. I mean, this was an amazing move. And again, if you go back to daily, I just want to make sure you guys understand that from a swing perspective, right here, you're getting in on last May, a year ago, at 29, I guess, right around 29.40. Okay. It went as high as 35 in a week. That's very, very strong. There was another buy signal if you were still in it at 33, and then it went, you know, what's the word I'm trying to use?
It went parabolic.
Parabolic, yeah.
But hey, dude, here's the thing. You know, what we've done is recently we've created this framework that allows us to take in all this AI data and to analyze it and to optimize it and to backtest it and to see exactly if you were to swing these positions, what would be the optimal type of stop you should put on that and really get analytical with the data. So I'm really excited about how the output of that and the information that we're going to receive from that.
And so obviously, since the AI has succeeded in this one quite a bit, you know, it tried it one more time here because again, think about this, right? If you're looking at it from a you know, we have the history, this didn't work out. And this is the other thing that you have to understand. That's why trading, investing, combination of risk management and picking. It's not just picking and hoping and going away. It's risk management and picking. Here, you get in, you got in on this day, you get out when you're wrong. That's the whole point, exit. And and that is something that, again, you are able to do. Now, you had a buy signal here because there was another, you know, potential bottom that was based on this price level. It didn't work out. But today's trade, and I'm gonna pop into the Omni AI just so you guys can see it. So today, this HIIQ ended up putting on a pretty good show. There was a beautiful trade here, beautiful stop that was never hit, came close, it tried, and then continued and was, you know, closing on a 5% gain. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. So for those of you that have the AI, when it works, when the market starts to settle one way or the other, or when the statistics start to line up, the system cannot be beaten. I mean, Brad, you and I were discussing this kind of ad tedium today, and that is that our statistical advantage is such that you would have to be only lucky to be able to come close. And those of you who have this already know what I'm talking about. So you had this beautiful trade on CRISP, okay? Love this one because, again, you're kind of in a situation, guys. And again, we don't know. I actually ended up taking this one and holding it, working on the swing hypothesis, Brad.
Yeah, there are a lot of good opportunities, a lot of 5-day lows coming in with some momentum and building. So you never know, right? This is all about risk reward.
Right. So the idea is that, I'm in right here. Okay. I'm over here right now. I'll probably let it go to a flat or possibly even, capitulate to because today's low, this is the beauty of it. Today's low is lower or at the lows of the last 3 days. If it can stabilize, here's a stock that can jump very, very quickly. And remember, the AIs played this one before. Okay. You're talking about something that can double or triple because this is a genetics play. These things are very, very potent. That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to find these opportunities. And this today on Holly 2.0, Brad, I gotta just kind of show people the other reason. And I've said this before that the AI is not perfect. It's silly to think that it is or that any system can be. It's just that we're doing something that is advantageous to the fluent or rather efficient speculator, the advantage player, somebody that understands that in any poker table, and we've said this before too, Brad, you sit down, you're playing, you have to lay a bunch of hands down, and you're not going to make all of your money every single day consistently because that's not how cards work. It's a game of trial and error, but when you get on your run, the pros will dominate. So this is what happened today, for example. Now notice again, the market was, of course, up, but it wasn't up like anything crazy because it's been all over the place, and we've said this before. Where did the S&P? I'll bring that in real quick. From 295 to 280, it fell pretty quickly. This again is a very challenging environment in which, by the way, you still have these big up days. Up days in a downturn are tough because you have to counter trend play it, like reversal play. Look at this right here, Brad, where you went from this kind of low to this kind of high.
Yeah, a lot of morning gaps, a lot of gap reversals, a lot of erratic type of movement. Today was a little bit more consistent. And on those type of days, when you're generating ideas of stocks that are breaking out and potentially have the ability to be establishing a low, and you never know how the market goes, but the idea is you want to finish the day positive. You want to give yourself that opportunity to decide if this is something you want to hold from a stronger position, one of strength and not one of weakness.
That's right. And again, hopefully it's the profit that tells you. So here's the thing I'm trying to say, like here's in Holly 2.0, look at the percentages where the worst one was just 0.8. I mean, that's a pretty potent statistical setup. In this case here, you had some down and some up, but just still the majority positive, even with the losers. And you can see the percentages right here. And that's the key. Because you're playing this game where you're like, okay, I know that if I can hang in, if I have enough capital to continue to play, I will win. And look, and once again.
But to be fair, Dan, like, these numbers right here, you're looking at risk on, and that's giving you the end of the day, how it did, and we've got our risk off, how we did at the end of our time stop. But, as well, when you're trading, it's a very dynamic situation, and there's a big point between now and when you initiated that position. Like, for instance, what's the stock? CLRB. We had that one appear in a couple different segments of our AI. Now, down one more, CLRB. So this guy here had a big percentage move after getting into it and giving you an opportunity to really ride a huge percentage. Doesn't mean you have to take it all the way to the end of the day, and that's the percentage that you get. But it's just generating these ideas that in real time give you the ability to capture some alpha.
And it's one of these other things where you can say, hey, let me go back to the lows. This is where you can put in your notifications. Pick up. So see, now these things that I just did, the alerts, as we've mentioned, we are creating these so they become your paper trades. So that you're trading off of these, you get alerted, you'll be alerted on your phone and the system. Yeah, I'm going to move it right to the stop right here. Okay, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pick some up right here, possibly, and then manage the risk from there. This is the whole notion of efficient trial and error. You're trying some things, you're letting them see how they work out, trial and error, trial and error. But yeah. Please, Brad.
Well, you know, you're kind of on a roll, and I don't want to interrupt you here.
Please.
But I'm going to anyway. So just the software is such a malleable piece of assistance for you. Go up to New and open up a top list window and go into that configuration page that it does, Dan. So go up to New, open up a top list. Let's pre-configured strategy, go to volume, relative volume leaders, and hit OK. Hit load it and hit OK. Just one of the many different windows that you can pull up, and we've got all this kind of stuff in the channels. But I want to highlight that relative volume column. I noticed it in the single stock window for that stock, and it has such a huge relative volume. Relative volume is one of the special data components that we create, along with a lot of other data fields, filters that you can use for the software. But this is taking a look at volume and how much volume is transpiring in that stock at that point in time. This happens to be at the end of the day, but I assure you, midday, this thing was flying and it had huge volume. But no matter what you're using, whether it's the AI taking a look at these types of metrics, or whether it's using some of our other windows where we've created these data points, these fields like relative volume that are very special to trade ideas, and using our algorithms that help you find and hunt out these opportunities. So a lot of different ways to get this information. And I'm sure it was flying through the Alpha Predator, the Surge channel, just from the way this is configured.
Let me throw something else out just so that everyone can kind of see it, okay? Notice that here's my mouse, and we've said this before. Notice that you're being presented with your, okay, see? My brain says, I'm doing something to you, I'm trying to teach you, but through my own, I didn't plan to do it, I just want to show you. Okay, so here is a monthly chart of Charles and Colvard Limited. Whatever, I just moved it. Where'd it go, right? There it is. Okay, it's paused. So notice this pattern. I mean, everyone here can see, obviously, that this thing has been on a major decline, right? On the monthly. But then all of a sudden, on the daily, and this is the daily chart right here, something major is going on. That means somebody with what they believe to be is some knowledge, okay? Not just you and I potentially throwing our 100 or 500 shares, but somebody with some potential serious knowledge, okay, is placing some bets here. Look at these 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at these days here. There was now look at the volume here. Almost a million. Whereas the average or the volume today was 300,000. The point is, this is a big move for this type of stock. So what do you do in this situation? Okay. Well, you can do a couple of things real quick. Number one, you create, this is again going back to either paper trading or very soon what you're doing here is this is my conditional buy signal. I mean, everyone knows, right, Brad? Maybe that's the easy way to translate it to people. This is your conditional buy order, but here's the beauty. When you do a conditional buy order at a brokerage firm, what happens, Brad?
Well, they see that order.
Right, but there's something else. It looks at your account and it ties up your buying power.
Debits your buying power.
That's right. So a person with a $50,000 account can't have 100 conditional orders out there just waiting, because each one is already being ready and occupying your buying power. We're about to change the whole game with that, because our conditional orders are server side on our side. In other words, they just live as alerts. And when I say, and when I put in this buying pullback, let's say it comes to here, I will be notified if I'm logged into Brokerage Plus through whichever broker I'm going to have. I'm just kind of speaking near future kind of stuff. It'll say, would you like to enter this trade? Once you say yes, then that order is generated. You've never tied up your buying power. See, brokerages don't really have the kind of server technology that we have. So they can't do that for you without you being, hey, you can't have 500 orders out for $1,000 worth of stock in a $50,000 account, because you're going to be buying, in their mind, $500,000 of stuff. You can't buy that, not knowing that these orders are not coming every single second at the same time. So do you guys see the advantages of what we're trying to bring to the table? Now, again, you can also tell yourself something like this. Really going. And we've done this before too, where we said that it's bracket. Both of these are buys, by the way. This just means that, listen, this thing, it might be starting to go, what was happening that brought this thing in 2013 to $8, well, maybe it's on again. We don't know. But this is now your freedom and ability to automatically execute. GT, yes, you will be able to do that as a setting. Obviously, you will have to be logged in. So, like, for example, and this, let me go back to Brokerage Plus for a minute. I mean, the AI as it would work with Brokerage Plus. So here, all of these strategies, all of these orders in my account, they were executed automatically, including the stops and everything else. And depending on how you do it, whether you want to do it in what we call risk off mode or risk on mode or whatever it is that you want to do, you don't need confirmations for this. So in this case, like HIQ, you were just getting in. Boom, you're in. And Riot, you're in. FNKO, you're in. I mean, you're in at close to, sometimes you get the exact same price, sometimes you don't get the exact same price depending on the volatility, but you're getting in to them. Let me see here. So I got into CRISPR at 37.07. So, I mean, yeah, so the exact same price, 37.7. There was enough liquidity. I matched this dollar per dollar. And it was beautiful, as it should be. Okay, so, okay. Mark asked a question, how do you backtest your own ideas? I love this question because, Brad, it kind of gets us back to the beginning, so to speak, of what we do. So Mark, let me just show you. This is a great example for everyone to see. And just so you know, this is how we built the AI, through testing our own ideas. You create an alert window, and let's start it from scratch, okay? And I'm going to look at the alerts, and I can search like all the different alerts that we have. And I can, for example, I mean, I can come up with anything, but I can say resume. Brad, have we tested some resume strategies? Should we try?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good one to test right now. I mean, to be totally honest with you, but
okay. You know me, I always like to.
You like to push the cutting edge, don't you?
Okay, let me do something more simple. Stock crosses the 50-day moving average, okay? We've done this before. 50-day moving average, the price of the stock is going to be above $10, but no more than 50 because that's my price range, quote unquote. Average 5-day volume, I want 1 million shares. Although, as you guys will see, that's really not necessary. Brad, is that a million or 10? I can't even see them.
I can't even count your zeros. You got to count them out as you're typing them.
I know. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Minimum 1 million shares traded. And let's just say that we want this to be positive, so it's going to be up at least 0.5% for the day. Now, one of the things that I want you guys to kind of understand too is that you can get into more fundamental stuff as well. Like you can say, okay, I want to see the stocks that have at least a minimum earnings per share. So these guys are making money, right? So just, again, combining the fundamental with the technical, making at least 50 cents a share. And you can search debt, or how about earnings day? And we can say that like the earnings were, let's say, 5 days ago. Brad, what the hell is that? Remind me.
What was your question?
Hold on, minus. So that means earnings happened 5 days ago, right?
Yeah, or longer.
Or longer. How about 5, but no more than 10? Right?
Yep. 100 or 1187.
So 1100. So we're looking at some stocks with earnings. Okay. So notice, by the way, we have all these magnifying glasses where everything you want to look into, you can kind of look up. Like, what is this? And here it says, show me stocks in words. Earnings will be reported between 5 and 10 days before. So ago. Brad, we need to write this in English.
Yeah, that one's actually a little confusing. I think if you go to the calendar, that might be a little bit more clear, right?
Yeah. And again, we show it in lots of different ways because remember, we're translating code into English so that you can see it. And there's ways you can do it, like today before the open and recent past, stuff like that. But just so you can see, I said between 5 and 10 days ago. And the reason I'm doing this is just so that you can see that you can really create very specific things to test. And we're going to call this 50-day cross with earnings. Meaning earnings happen and they're making some money. I'm going to hit OK. So here's a stock. So now the question is, what kind of a trading situation do I want to look at? I right click and I hit backtest strategy. I'm going to start, let's call it start time, meaning I'm going to invest only 15 minutes after the open to avoid the very first print opening volatilities. And I'm not going to enter new trades at, I'm going to say 11:30 my time. That means that I'm not going to get into stuff at the end of the day because, again, it's the same thing. I know that I want to be in it even if I'm just to test the waters for at least an hour and a half. Okay. Timed exit. How long am I holding this trade? Now, by default, 30 minutes. That's pure just day trade kind of stuff. Let's go end of day. And we're going to just test two hypotheses, end of day and a week. So I'm going to hit simulate buy. Okay, so what do you have here? You have here some high level stuff. It actually works. There's 31 trades when this happened during the time that we tested, okay? And you were winning 58% of the time.
I wouldn't say that it works.
Huh?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it works.
No, I'm saying I'm going high level. So it said 58% winning is pretty positive.
Well, yeah, but your loser is twice that of your winner.
That's the thing that you have to see. And that's what we're trying to, this is why it's so critical to be able to look at this data. and say, okay, well, wait a minute, what's going on? Well, the problem is the losers were bigger than your winners. So, okay, let's run this again and adjust the time. So what if we're in this, again, for a little bit more of a swing setup? And we're going to say at the market close, 5 days. Okay, worse. So these stocks, and by the way, there was no magic at all to how I picked this alert or what I did. I'm just trying to show you that this is the kind of tactical trial and error that the odds maker that runs the AI does by itself. You know,
and there are other ways to use the tool. I mean, you can use it to where you don't put as many filters on it initially, and you let it bring back this data, and then you can use the odds maker to really optimize the strategy. So there are different ways to approach it. And I know Dan's just showing you conceptually how would this do if this happened, but there are so many different ways to use it. In fact, this tool, the odds maker, and its ability to optimize it, tell it which filters are best suited for the particular strategy, what values they should be. That's kind of the tech that we extracted out of this optimization process for the AI itself.
Let me just explain something else too, which is, so here we're, let's see, what's our time exit? Okay, same thing, swing trade. It's just being able to run through a mass amount of numbers to really kind of get an idea also that a lot of times what you think you're seeing, and look, from here to here, this was pretty good. But then something happened, and I can tell you exactly what it was. Brad, do you know what it was? It was this.
The market getting crushed?
Yeah. Like this is the point where statistics are a key component, but it's not a genie, and there's no such thing. We're not fortune tellers. When we find something that works, it shows it to you, but that doesn't mean that it will work forever, which is why, by the way, our AI, and this is what we're talking about right here, all these trades, okay, were generated by what I showed you. The AI algorithm, the odds maker is doing all this running, but we're doing this on the server side. In other words, everything that you want to do to find strategies, we're doing it for you, okay? Brad, do we allow people to create a test indicator SMA crosses as exits? You can create a custom exit, right?
Yeah, but we only have the 50 on either the daily or the intraday. I'm not sure. You can definitely do that. Yeah,
all
you can
of those components are something that we're going to be bringing more to the table. Remember, guys, we're a fairly small software company.
Yeah, you can do that though, Dan.
Okay.
I see what he's asking. It's really using an alert as a custom exit, and we do allow that. That hasn't translated itself to Brokerage Plus yet, but that is something you can do with the odds maker.
Okay, so right here, here's an alert window, right click, backtest strategy.
Yeah, it's in the advanced area.
Okay.
Right here in the exit strategy. So under the advanced exit conditions, right there you have an exit strategy. So you configure it right there to determine what is it that you want to have the trigger event, for that.
So you can say something like, I mean, this is just an example. When the 20 period SMA crosses below the 200 period SMA on a 15. So now I have that as an exit versus just time. And again, I mean, I'm just kind of throwing this stuff out purely. You would have to configure this the thing, and remember we have the optimization, and I just randomly picked. I'm randomly picking stuff to show you what you can do. This is the Adobe Photoshop of creating strategies and testing them. It's just that most people don't have the time and the wherewithal to do it, which is why we created the AI. This is already done for you. Every single trade here is doing what you want. And one of the big things, Brad, that we're gonna, I think, improve upon this is really working the stop losses better, making them, I mean, these are the things that we're gonna be focusing on to help people improve.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the optimization and the enhancement of the data. So yeah, we're fully in the process of taking all of this data and really optimizing it and finding the best way to utilize it.
Yeah, Avery, you asked a good question about the TD Ameritrade. See, I mean, this is the catch-22. Of course, TD Ameritrade wants everyone to integrate to their API so their traders can use stuff. But they don't have a license with us. They don't pay us anything, and it's just another API to manage. So we have to have some, like, one of the things that we were and by the way, the funny thing, Brad, is we used to a long time ago have the TD Ameritrade because we used to have a working relationship with them, and then something happened and they decided to go in a different direction. And so,
well, I think it's really, we initiated this with the approach of pure supply and demand, and we did reach out to our client base, and we took a survey and asked everybody who their broker was, and by far, I mean, heads and tails above everybody was Interactive Brokers.
I think it's simply because they are the cheapest alternative for active trading. Like this from a commission point of view, doing 24, 33 trades, it's really not that much. They're like $50, $60. And look at the potential I mean, this is a pretty solid, Brad, P&L day. If you take the best of risk on, okay.
Why don't we talk to everybody about how you achieve those numbers and what settings you have in there to facilitate those numbers, because this is really a customized setting based upon how you want to approach the AI. What type of dollar commitment do you want to put to each trade, or what type of share commitment? Yeah, so that, I think that's something that would be useful to show everybody how you got to these.
So let me show you. So what I did here, okay, is, and I mimic this on Brokerage Plus. I say I want to lose maximum of about $35 per trade, because I know I'm going to be taking 10 to, so $30 times 10 is 300, times 20 is 600. It's like almost $700 if every single trade was a losing trade, which it's never the case, but I'm kind of just throwing this out there. So $35 per trade. You can, if I did $45 per trade, you see that my share size increases quite a bit. So now, with just a $10 difference in risk, this is the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's just hypothetically, if you were to get stopped out of that position, that's what you would lose based on your quantity.
And also understand that, like, when you get stopped out of a position, if this thing says 45, it could easily be 51, 53. And also possibly, if you got into it, you might not get in at the exact same price. So you can assume, so here, 321, if you could get 250 out of 321, that would still be great, because this is obviously perfect in terms of just data. But we've had trading days where, on some cases, we've even done better just simply because of the volatility. Something came back and we got a better price fill. So that happens as well. The other interesting thing is you can use limit orders, not market orders. So you don't have to be just popping out market orders. Imagine buying something or having a limit order, it comes back to you and then goes. These things happen. And one of the things that I want to kind of showcase again, Brad, is that here's an example. You know, we talked about the different ways that the software allows you to manage the trades, risk on and risk off. So here in risk off mode, in VICR, in VCOR, it made just a smidgen. But in risk off mode, see this line right here? This is what's called risk off. This is the tested area. This is what we're trying to do. When we're doing the back test, we're trying to say what's the optimized time that we're testing it for, and here it is, and that's why it exited this trade. Now, knowing that just because you optimize something for this time does not always mean that it's better. In this case, you can see today was a risk on day everywhere. Okay, sorry, I was reading Avery's question. So Avery, you're planning to trade 5,000 to 20,000 shares per trade? Okay, gotcha. I'm pretty sure, by the way, on IB, you can customize that per share or per trade also. Brad, I'm not, maybe Barry or somebody else knows, but I'm pretty sure that they're flexible that way, because I think they want to match the other brokers, but just also, because the idea is this, of course, you know, if you're trading the kind of size that you're trading, it makes more sense with a flat rate. There's no question there. But most people who are actively pursuing things, they're just doing it a little bit smaller. You've obviously have the account size and things to do what you're doing, which is awesome, by the way. And both, I think it can be accommodated. Brad, do you know? I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. You would need to contact IB.
Right. We'll find that out. Avery, shoot us an email to info@trade-ideas.com. We'll certainly double check, but I'm fairly certain that you can go either direction. It just depends on how you trade. So obviously in this case too, let me just go to tools, options, okay. Shares. So I mean, you're like, guys, don't be scared of Avery. He's got a big bank account. But I'm just saying that this is, if you're playing it the way we're playing it, and you're doing what we're talking about here. Now, obviously, you know that you won't be able to get the exact same price for 5,000 shares unless you're, I mean, some of these stocks that we're trading here, they're just not, like on a stock like VICR, if you're buying 5,000 at market, which I would never recommend doing, you would not be getting the same price. But certainly if you're limiting in, okay, this is the financial capability. And this is good for people to see too. I mean, Brad, you know, we keep it on a very sort of dollar-based scenario, but I want you guys to show that when you're doing this, you can plan, so you can see, well, what is it that I'm trying to do? If you're trying to get the 5,000 shares, because if you have the account capability to manage the pluses and the minuses of this, then this is what is possible if you're doing it that way. It's funny, Brad, that you and I just don't do this, because the majority of the people simply don't have the account size to do that kind of stuff. But another way is per share. I'm sorry, well, we did the $5,000 per trade. Some people do it that way. They can say, okay, I'm gonna put in 10,000 in every single one. So that's what that would look like. And the reason that we focus on this one is simply because it's a technique that is more designed for risk management. You know that you're being sized in so that you know how much you're going to lose.
Yeah, and one trade won't, and the way that we have it set up with stops, not one trade's not going to knock you out, but this is just a more consistent way to approach it.
And that's why, again, and people can kind of relate to, more people can relate to being in 122, 180, and these numbers are still very nice numbers if you can, you know, get even 60% of this kind of environment. All right. Are there any other questions? I want to summarize today by saying, number one, when the odds are working, when the statistics are working, we cannot be beaten. We've been preaching this, saying this, we've been talking about this. We never said that trading was easy. And people often jump to on this notion that this is an easy thing to do. Mark, it's based, this is today. So this is so one of the ways that we do this is, yes, this gets in today and out today, but you do not have to exit your winners. That's the whole point, is that you have the full capability to not exit on your brokerage plus. You can just say, okay, get me in, and I'm going to stay in what I want to stay in.
But also, one of the things, Mark, you started off the conversation with the fact that we're taking this and we're skewing it in a way that will be more appealing and more appropriate to the longer term trader with these ideas. So it's a work in process.
Yeah, lots of stuff happening. Thank you, Avery. Thank you very much, and we'll work on that. Okay, so big summary points, and this is also for, again, Scott. This is the new version, new beta. This one has the latest of everything, including the ability for standard subscribers, people who are not on the premium package, but who simply surf the web. And remember, guys, we have it all. Here's your, what was moving up today. And notice how we've already done the configuration for you, okay? So here's your biggest gainers for the day. And again, you can sort things, resort them by percentages, by relative volume, but we've done all the big stuff so that if you're like hunting just the winners, you can really see all the things that are winning right here. Right click and hit trade. You will not be able to do that with your IB and standard subscription. Here's your, again, longer time frame. You're talking about swing. Here's some swingers for you. Okay, and of course, looking at the big picture for the year. Now notice again, we have this set specifically to something. So here you have the biggest movers for the day, but every morning when you're looking at this, this is telling you not only the ones that are up the most, but the ones who are moving right now. So DFFN, Diffusion Pharmaceuticals, I mean, this kind of thing has been, goodness, it's been went from 35 cents to $11. And I've actually had a couple of these rides in this one. It's kind of been amazing. It's a big hit and a big miss. They get very excited. It gets torn down. Here it is again, but there's some interesting stuff happening.
Price alert.
Brad, what was GT's question?
Yeah, I think GT was elaborating on the plan of being able to store these orders on our server prior to sending them to market in order to retain buying power and such. And I was just reiterating that this is a feature that's planned through Brokerage Plus and our addition to that particular functionality and not yet available.
Right. So GT, the way that we're working it right now is just imagine you have a bunch of limit orders without getting all conditional. Let's say you have a limit order to buy Dell, Microsoft, Facebook, whatever. They're all in our system and they'll only be executed when that order is placed instead of you putting them in your brokerage and that brokerage order tying up your buying power, which is what happens. As we get more sophisticated, we'll be able to do various things to those orders. And obviously, you know, if you're in one, well, then now you're in it. It's no longer an order, it's live. And how you risk manage, I mean, it is taking up buying power once it's live. and the risk management will be commensurate with whatever it is that you deem fit on a real position. But what I'm trying to say here is that we have these channels, that are already all preset out, the social media channels, things that are being talked about outside of the market, things that are moving. You've got your pre-market before the day starts. Here you go. What's going on? Up gappers, down gappers, and sure enough, just like that, you got your after hours. So that we are like a cable TV for the market. It works all throughout, beginning and middle. And while the AI is super powerful, by adding this capability to trade through standard subscription, we're just giving more and more people to participate in things that they've never been able to do. Avery, thank you very much. We appreciate that. I mean, we love to hear the compliments, and we're grateful for you guys for looking at our system. It's a race that never ends. We're continuing to innovate all the time. We're always working to improve the product. It's just that, like anything else, it takes time. We can't just throw things out. And we are a technology company. That's one of the reasons why you guys get the kind of innovation that we get. We just had an open house where everybody could really try everything and test everything. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. You've got your cloud where, things that you're saving, they're on our servers, okay? You can you've got the channel bar where you can edit channels, you can make your own, add channel, create your own pictures. I mean, you really can customize this setup. It's a very powerful tool that doesn't exist anywhere else. Not only that, but here you can like symbols, and then you have a whole channel of things that only you like that are tied to your login. Okay? So there's just so many things for you to do. And of course, with that is the continuing education that you have all throughout the software. So, okay, guys, so obviously most of you are already subscribers, but for those that aren't, or if you want to tell your friend about us, we're grateful for that. And this is how much it costs to use Trade Ideas on a per day. We have a monthly and a yearly rate, and if you're paying the yearly rate, it's like $6.20 a day. For the standard, it's like $2.90, and for the monthly, $3.90 and $5.50. Today, you get holly flowers, April showers bring May flowers, 15% off your first month or a year off of Trade Ideas. We always love that you guys participate with us, and we're grateful for you. We have a trading room that is managed by our good friend Barry Anderson, part of our team, trade-ideas.com/trading room. Fantastic way for you to feel things out, talk to the meritocracy, and get a feel, and also continual education all throughout the week. We have a curriculum that's pretty much consistent with getting you through from the basics to the very advanced levels that we touch upon on these Q&As. And of course, Friday, my friend Jamie and I, we do a podcast, and we kind of do a little off-the-cuff conversation with you guys, our customers, as well as we have guests that we had recently this week as well. Thank you, Waleed, always. Information for how to get better at things, free ebook on what happens when the market starts turning down, and as it had in the last couple of weeks. And of course, very easy for you to get a hold of us at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, at Today Trader. Like us on Facebook. You can always give us a call or shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. Scott, I think we're all good.
Sounds great. We'll have a recording up later on tonight or tomorrow. Lots of good stuff. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you, guys. Take care.